Hogg to me means recovery, patience, community, family, resilience. I think that would be good.
My experience as a fellow in the Hogg Foundation Policy Fellowship Program was amazing. It's a really incredible program. It offers so much for a young professional coming out of graduate school. It shaped my understanding of mental health policy, taught me how to be an effective legislative advocate, and really helped me understand who I am and where I want to go in my career and in my personal life as well.
The Hogg Academy is part of our strategic plan that we have for the state of Texas. The Hogg Foundation for Mental Health is very keen on developing or being part of the development of really the mental health care as well as the healthcare system in general of the 21st century for the state of Texas, and because we're such a large state, I think by default impacting as well the healthcare system of the United States. But the Hogg Academy, I think, is going to go sort of like a puzzle. Policy is a really important part of the healthcare system. There's obviously education, there's service, there's research, there's also policy. And the Academy is a really nice, I think, vehicle that we have developed.
Texas has some outstanding mental health providers, but we all know that we need more than just services. And I think one of the things that the fellowship does, or many of the things the fellowship does, is really make sure that what Texas is doing is we're not just looking at providing money, providing services, but we're looking at what the policies are, what the policies should be. We're looking at what best practices are. We're researching those best practices, and then we have a way to advocate to put those best practices into implementation. And that's a really critical piece to be able to provide the right kind of mental health services that are needed in this state.
That model of having a fellow plus a mentor is effective because basically you have someone who's really training in situ, which is to say they're in the real environment out there with an organization dealing with real issues in real time. And so what's coming from a training standpoint that the Hogg Academy offers, in addition to then they're actually able to then apply it to a real problem that their organization, which they're a fellow for, along with their mentor, can really then drill down and address. I think it makes us really effective, and it makes it really exciting because it's something they're really going to work on, either at the local level or at the state level.
The parts of the fellowship that I found most helpful were definitely around having a trusted mentor and around the community of being part of a larger group of fellows. It was, I felt kind of like a toddler whose mom was standing behind her saying, you know, like, go run and fly. Really was given the encouragement to go and fly and do on my own, but if I was wobbly and turned around, there was a whole community of support there. One of the smallest things that for some reason is still a very vivid memory for me was the first time I was about to kind of cold call into a legislator's office to talk about mental health policy, and I hadn't really thought much about what that was going to be like until I was standing in the hallway and about to walk through the door, and I just stopped and looked at the other fellow, Peter, that I was with, and was like, what am I going to say? What are we going to talk about? They're not even expecting us. And all of a sudden was really nervous. And I think the experience of opening the door and walking in and having that first probably awkward, probably lacking in clear communication conversation was really like a jumping off point for me to say, I can do this. And it was an opportunity to build confidence around my role at the Capitol as an advocate for mental health policy. And so it was such a little thing, but I just can still remember standing outside that door, ready to walk in, but not really sure what was going to happen on the other side, and having those experiences over and over and over and over again to where I didn't even think twice at the end of the session about walking in and talking to people that had become friends and partners in the policy process. So that's kind of a small example, but something that stuck with me.
When I first arrived at the airport, that was so exciting, arriving at Ronald Reagan and just taking the drive to the hotel. The first day, I didn't know what to expect. Sitting there with all the fellows was just exciting, and hearing I think his name was Noel, bringing all the guest speakers in and learning what was going on in the mental health field, especially at the national level. And here in Texas, I just felt what all the information was coming at the national level. You don't hear that in Texas. And wow, all of this information and how I was going to get this as a parent and how I was going to be able to share this with other parents and other advocates was just mind-blowing. And it was just awesome. I just was like, awesome, awesome. Every evening I was calling my family and friends and telling them what I was learning and how we were going to have a voice and how we were going to be spreading this information to other families and loved ones who had children with mental health issues and developmental disabilities, and how we were going to be able to go to our lawmakers and speak to their aides, and how we were going to make effective change. It was just mind-blowing, wonderful experience. I will never forget it.
It's been such a privilege for Texans Care for Children to have this role of facilitator of the Hogg Academy. In this capacity, we've gotten to interact with so many wonderful organizations that we had worked with before, but this has really created such a strong tie between us, and being able to work directly with all these amazing fellows with their great energy and enthusiasm and new vision for how to impact policy change has been really wonderful for us and has really elevated for us the way that we view mental health policy in Texas.
I think the Academy is one of the best parts of the fellowship program, a fellowship program that overall is incredible. Additionally, the educational value of the Academy, I can't overstate how much I learned from those different presentations from such an experienced, diverse and knowledgeable set of experts in mental health policy. They were very forthcoming about sharing their knowledge base, talking about their experiences, leaving their business cards and saying that we could contact them with questions at any point. The generosity of the people who were presenting at the Academy and the hard work of the people who put the Academy together is something that I really deeply appreciate.
Participating in the Hogg Policy Academy really was an outstanding experience for NAMI, Texas. It gave us a brand new capacity. We had, for the first time in many years, if ever, a full-time person dedicated to focusing just on policy, and that gave us an opportunity to engage in many policy activities that we would not have been able to do.
Participating in the Hogg Academy changed my career completely, I think. I don't work specifically in mental health policy now, but as the Director of Grants and Scholarships at the Austin Community Foundation, I read every grant that comes across my desk through the lens of mental health and the importance of access to mental health care, the importance of including mental health care in discussions around issues that affect our community, homelessness, education, criminal justice, the healthcare system, arts. I just don't think you can really talk about anything in a community without also talking about mental health. And similarly to that, I don't think you can really tackle these big problems without also talking about policy.
The Academy was just a fantastic resource for me to just constantly broaden my knowledge base. I looked forward to going every month, and I always learned something new. And you know, being from an organization that really did not do anything with mental health before the fellowship, I found great value in the academies and being able to interact with the professionals that were brought in, because I didn't have a whole lot of other mental health resources at my own organization. So it was fantastic to be able to have access to that kind of information.
And what's been really, really wonderful to see, and what I think really speaks to the vision that the Hogg Foundation had for this program, is it's created this instant infusion of so many advocates at the Capitol. What's been wonderful is in the short term, by funding these fellow programs, by funding these fellows at these different organizations, we suddenly have more voices, more faces at the Capitol, and it makes a very powerful statement in terms of the prioritization of mental health in Texas.
I think that we've had an impact in the sense that we have elevated through all these individuals, because now there's a cohort of folks out there, to be able to, in fact, elevate the issues of mental health across the board. And I think that's had an impact. I can't say we can take directly all the increase in public mental health funding that happened in the 83rd legislature, but I'm going to go ahead as the executive director and take a bit of that, and say that our Policy Academy really helped for that to happen.
Hogg has become the leader in mental health, particularly in the policy arena in Texas. They were at the forefront of this issue long before other foundations were. Their reputation is a stellar one, and they have really proven that both the Hogg Foundation and the Hogg Fellows know of which they speak and are real experts. We definitely need that in Texas.
We're able to go off into different areas, but we still have a core understanding of mental health and mental health needs and policy issues related to mental health in Texas. So whether we're working in child welfare or working in juvenile justice or we're working, for some other type of organization that doesn't specifically focus on mental health, but we always have that background and that experience and that lens to be able to take that into other areas in which we're now focusing on.
I think the biggest impact that the fellowship program has had on advancing mental health policies in Texas is training all of these new, advocacy policy wonk types to do mental health. I know that, at least from my class, and I think the classes before, all of us have kind of continued in the same vein, and we all are going to continue to advocate on behalf of individuals with mental illness. I know I continue to do that in my job, and I think, kind of for the rest of my career, going to be hesitant to move away from that because it is something that I'm so comfortable with now, and it's something I really care about. And so I think that the Hogg Academy definitely instilled that within me, and the fellowship is why I'm interested in this now, and hopefully it's going to be something I'll be able to hold on to as a professional.
I thought of the fellows as seeds, and I thought, no, they're not seeds, really, they're trees. Like, one of the requirements was that the fellows be recently graduated. And so they're really starting out in their profession and their careers. And participating in the academy is really going to just allow them, like trees, to grow deeper and deeper roots and higher and higher branches for being effective the rest of their careers in mental health policy. And many of them are staying in Texas, many of the fellows. Some of them are leaving, but they're going to take this experience wherever they go. And it's such a strong foundation to build on, to have them be articulate, effective spokespeople, advocates for mental health policy, that it's really changing the landscape of Texas, and for those that choose to leave, having that impact nationally.